Hello, my name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Dale Carnegie Training Japan. Are you leading an intentional life? What does an intentional life mean? An intentional life is we decide what's going to happen in our life in terms of the direction and the goals we want to achieve and the outcomes we want to enjoy. It means we've got a plan to go forward. A lot of people, though, are not leading an intentional life. They're leading a random chance life. So their life becomes the collection of a series of circumstances and events which sort of pile up. And then when they get to a very old age and they look back on their life, they realize this was all over the place. It didn't go according to any sort of logic. It was something that happened, but it didn't actually mount to anything particular because they didn't set a course at the beginning. We have a course in our Dale Carnegie training called the Dale Carnegie Course, which helps people to set a plan, helps them to have an intentional life and to think about where they would like to go. Because if you don't have a plan for your life, you'll wind up living the life of someone else's plan, not something you decided, something they decided for you, which may not be the outcome you want. So a great part of the course is it sets up for how to think about the future, set some goals for yourself, and have outcomes that you wish to see for yourself. So that part of the course is also very, very interesting. Another thing is in Japan, we have a lot of trouble with engagement. You know, engagement is one of those things where you get the surveys, you know, the employee satisfaction survey or the engagement survey, and the survey results come back and Japan's results are very low. You know, APAC sort of here, and Japan sort of here, and globally Japan sort of here. And one of the problems about engagement is that people are not committed, they're not motivated. Why aren't they committed? Why aren't they motivated? Well, one part is they probably don't have an intentional life in mind. One problem is they probably haven't thought about where they want to go with the future, so there's no particular plan. Another thing, though, is their enthusiasm levels are not high enough. Now, in the Dale Carnegie course, we really looked at how to become more enthusiastic in our careers. And it's very interesting. I was talking about APAC before. I did some interviews with some of our fellow leaders of Dale Carnegie in Asia. I talked to a leader in Taiwan, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, and many of them said that one of the things they notice in their countries, the things that people who take the Dale Carnegie course really get out of it, is it builds their enthusiasm. It stimulates their enthusiasm. We have the enthusiasm in us, but the trigger to really get that enthusiasm going is not there. So the Dale Carnegie course is something that really, it's like a catalyst. It triggers that enthusiasm that's already in us and brings it out. So we are committed and motivated. We are really, starting to think about a plan, get an intentional life going, make things happen. So the course is great for doing that. It's also great for building trust. Now, it's a tricky thing with trust. One of the things we have in business is we're always going to have disagreements. But sometimes when we disagree, it becomes a negative, and then the relationship between the two people starts to get impacted in a way that the trust is destroyed. Now, sometimes, in companies there'll be leaders vying to get to the top, usually men, vying to get to the top, and they're fighting and they're using, meetings to one-up each other or try and make the other person look bad, trying to get the elbows out so they can get to the top, and they start to disagree about the course of the direction of the company. And what happens, though, is as they disagree, all the way down the silos of their divisions in the company, people are also starting to disagree. And all of this energy is being consumed in infighting. Rather than looking out and taking on the market and taking on our competitors, we're fighting amongst ourselves. We're using up all this time and energy for something which is basically negative because we don't know how to disagree in a way that is not going to destroy the trust and destroy the relationship. We have a section in the Dale Carnegie course called How to Disagree Agreeably, which is great. So yes, we want a variety of opinions. We want different takes on things. We want diversity. We want freshness of ideas, but we don't want to have it in a way that it's a fight. We want to make it a plus. So having a capacity to have different views and still have the relationship in place, have the trust in place, is a big plus in taking the organization forward. More innovation, more creativity, better outcomes. Everything improves that way. So the Dale Carnegie Course has a section on that, which is really great. Also, we need to have more influence. If we're going to be leaders in our organization and really contribute and get more responsibility, more accountability, we have to have more influence. But how do you have more influence on others? There's a whole section in this 12-week Dale Carnegie course about how to be more influential with other people. Dale Carnegie came up with 30 human relations principles. Now, these 30 principles are really fantastic. They come from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it teaches you how to communicate with people, how to relate with people in a way where your enthusiasm is contagious, you're getting people motivated, you're inspiring them because the trust is there. This is something that is very, very powerful in business. So we teach you how to have more influence with others. And we also teach you how to build up others in your team, how to recognize other people. Now, it's interesting. Leaders must be influential, they must build trust, and they must be able to build up others. But do they know how to do that? Well, this is a very interesting thing. Do we understand leadership? In a lot of cases, people don't actually understand what is leadership. Well, they think they're leading. They have a title that, Kacho is a section head, or Bucho is a division head, or Semu or Jormu, sort of managing director level, which says leader. But are they really leading? And what is leading? What is the difference between, say, leading and, say, managing? And this is the problem. A lot of people think they're leading, but actually all they're doing is managing. And managing is important. Managing means looking after processes, the compliance part, the execution part, the cost control part, the quality control part, time control part, doing the performance reviews, all that sort of stuff is important. This is process, it's very important. It must be managed. But that's not leading. A leader does all of those things and they build up the people. And this is the critical part. Lots of people can do the process management part, but they're not so great on building up the people. So if we want to have an opportunity to build the organization through building up people, then we need to know how to do that. And in this 12-week Dale Carnegie course, we deal exactly with that, how to recognize others and how to build them up. This is a communication piece that we teach, and also a mindset teach that we teach. So all of those things start to interlock, the trust is there, the influence is there, the enthusiasm is there to build up that influence with people. And so the organization will have a future bed of leaders. And, if you want to step up, you have to have someone to replace you. If there's no one to replace you, trust me, you're staying right where you are. The organization can't afford to lose you because they're going to keep you where you are. So you can't move. If you want to move, you've got to develop followers who can take over your job so you can step up to the next role. This 12-week course is very interesting. It's the product of more decades and decades of Dale Carnegie's research into how to be better with people. And he distilled it into these 30 human relations principles, which are captured in the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And over the course of these 12 weeks, you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, you read How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, you read Effective Public Speaking. And because it's time-spaced, for each class there's a week separation, you're reading parts of these books over the 12 weeks. You're also getting homework, like you're trying to take what you've learned. Dale Carnegie training is incredibly practical. Take what you've learned and then immediately use it. So you might come up with something in the course, some of the influencing or recognizing areas, and you go to pick out someone that you want to have more influence with, you want to have a better relationship with, and you will nominate, Mr. or Miss X, I'm going to use these principles. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, you'll start to apply those principles with that person to try and change a relationship. Now, it's very interesting. Everyone wants everyone else to change. We want to stay the way we are, but we would like everyone else to improve. Well, there's never going to happen. If you want change, it has to start with you. Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see. And he was quite correct. So be the change you want to see, and be the change you want to see in your relationship with others. Change yourself first. That sounds difficult. Well, that's fine, be the change I want to see, but how do I do that? Through using these principles, we can apply them with others and we start to change the relationship immediately. The interesting thing is, as soon as we select Mr. or Miss X, these principles, as soon as we make that choice, we've immediately changed. Because now our conversation, our interaction with that person is going to be completely different. Newtonian physics says for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if we want to have a different outcome, the input has to be different. So the angle of interaction, instead of always being the same angle, we just change it about 5 degrees. And we start to come with a different approach, a different mindset, a different communication style with that person, because we're now using the principles, and guess what? We get a completely different reaction. And this is where we start to realize, oh, we are having influence. That person was not cooperative before, weren't helpful, you wanted to have more cooperation, you wanted a better relationship, you changed the angle through changing your use of your interaction through these new principles, and bingo, they start to react differently to you. And the course teaches this. So you've got, over the 12 weeks, an opportunity to try all these different things. Try the disagree agreeably, work on your enthusiasm, build the trust, build the influence with other people, recognize people by having praise that's effective. Like typically when we give praise to people, it's vague, like good job, well done. What does that mean? What does that mean? We need to actually tell them very specifically what that means by saying what they did that was good, what they did that was well done, and then build up their confidence through our ability to communicate that recognition to them. So this Dale Carnegie course is one of those things that there are, I think we're up to 9 million people or more around the world have graduated from this course. I think that's bigger than the entire population of a country the size of Sweden, right? So it's been going for 100 years now, so we know that this course is very effective. And if you'd like to experience the course, you can come on one of our previews or just sign up. All the details are going to be in the bottom of this video. So think about, would you like to have an intentional life where you decide the outcome, not someone else decides it for you? Would you like to have more enthusiasm and more commitment and get more pleasure out of what you're doing? Would you like to have the trust of others so that you can have influence with others? Would you like to be able to have a work environment which is very fresh and very dynamic and lots of great ideas, but without the tension, without the aggravation, without the fighting through disagreement? Would you like to be someone who builds other people and gets recognized for that and gets promoted because they're able to give you more responsibility because your followers can take over and they see you as a builder of people? All of those things are in that Dale Carnegie course. We teach them through the 30 human relations principles. So please come and join us and experience the Dale Carnegie course, and you will find that this course, like everybody else who takes it, it will change your life for the better. Hope to see you on the course. Look forward to meeting you then.